Everything you learned in history class was a lie. Well, maybe not everything, but they skipped the best parts. Introducing Stupiracy, where stupidity meets conspiracy. Ever heard of the Olympic marathon that nearly killed its runners? Or the time a pope put another pope's corpse on trial? Join me, Scott Rizzuto, and Tim McKernan as we uncover the most outrageous historical moments and mind-blowing conspiracies you won't believe actually happened. Tune into Stupiracy for your weekly dose of historical absurdity. Available wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, history is dumb, but laughing at it is smart.
And now, live from the TCL broadcast studios, it's Joe Souchere and Patrick Royce with Sports Talk.
Where are the boys on the other side of the state?
West Palm Beach, 3-3 tie after 9 innings. The Twins having probably a shorthanded number of pitchers because they sent 2 buses over there yesterday. Half of them stayed. One of them came back, and then they sent another busload over today because they had 2 games over there in the West Palm, Jupiter area. Actually, this one was in Jupiter against the Cardinals. But 3-3 after 9, that's it. Let's get on the bus and go back home. So they were supposed to. They put out an edict before spring training started that you had to play 10 innings. You wouldn't play over 10 innings, and then it was a tie. But that's twice this year. It was tied after 9, and they said, to hell with it, we're done. So remember when we had Gene Mock, and he and Pedro Gomez over in Cocoa, Florida, would play an extra 5 after it was over to get their pitchers loosened up, and you'd play 9, and then you'd have to sit around for another hour while they played 5 more innings. They don't do that anymore. So.
Well, they figured they had nowhere else to go.
Yeah, I guess so. And you could smoke in the dugout then. What the hell? There was no hurry for Gino.
Gene was at home.
Yes, in the dugout,
right, having
a little heater, cupping it in a very professional manner. It was pretty dang good. And that Cocoa, man, that was a hole. Mm-hmm. That was a dump. Supposedly, that stadium was like that little ballpark with the wooden fences was in the jungle there, and they'd get the kids, the 10-year-old kids from the neighborhood to come over and go out in the outfield and stomp in the grass and chase the snakes back under the fence and into the jungle before the game started.
Do more teams train in Florida or Arizona?
It's now tied, 15 each.
15 each.
And hell, I think at one point before they added the last 2 teams, it was 20-8 in Florida. Arizona had 8 and 20, and we're over here. But everybody goes over there because of the convenience of travel.
In Arizona?
Yeah, right. I mean, you can hit that traffic there, and it can be a nightmare. But as far as mileage, it's nothing's more than 25, 30 miles away. So.
People forget that Florida is a big state.
Yeah. Oh no. You know when you find that out when you're driving down here and you hit the Florida border and you say, "Boy, I'm almost in Fort Myers," and then 4.5 hours later, you're almost in Fort Myers.
Well, it's 440 miles long.
Yes, it is.
It's not that wide, but it's long.
Yes, it is. Hey, now I thought you would ask me what kind of day it was here.
No, I'm tired of you rubbing it in.
I was going to tell you that that it's a gorgeous day and there isn't a cloud between here and. So I looked at the Gulf of Mexico because I wanted to be accurate geographically. I wanted to see what was straight west. Okay.
Well, be Mexico.
I looked up the dry Tortugas and they're too south. They're down by Key West.
All right.
Have you ever heard of the Sigsbee Deep?
No.
The Sigsbee Deep comes up on the map, right?
Yeah.
It says you get the Gulf of Mexico map, and it's a triangular area, of considerable length. The Sigsbee Deep is a roughly triangular basin that is the deepest part of the Gulf of Mexico.
How deep is it?
It was named for a commander. Charles Dwight Sigsbee, who apparently found out how deep it is. But it's deep, Joe.
Yeah.
5,299 feet at its deepest.
That's a mile
Did he have that white and black, disc, and he just kept unraveling the rope and his wrists were getting tired?
I don't know. But the Sigsbee Abyssal Plain is the deepest and flattest sector of the deep basin. So from now on, if you ask me how the weather is, I'll say there isn't a cloud between here and the Sigsbee Deep.
Well, you know what else you haven't done this year? You haven't driven back from the Tampa area and told us how the sun is shining on the ocean. Glistening over the Gulf.
Yeah, I haven't been. I don't know if I'm going to get... Well, that was when I used to just call in, though. That was before I made this
Right
stuff.
before that big orb plops into the drink.
That's before. By the way, as I was waiting to come on the air, you would have loved it, Joe. We had quite the Crow versus Swallows showdown here. Out here. We had to have like 30 crows circling, and they must have been trying. I don't know what they were trying to steal, but the swallows were all chasing them, and it was quite. It was like watching a dogfight in World War II.
My money would have been on the crows.
Well, but they're not as quick.
Yeah,
they're not as quick.
Maybe
so
not as nimble.
They come out and try to drive them away, and the little birds and the crows circle around, and then they go land on top of the light towers and kind of talk to each other and say, okay, now what are we going to do? Which one of where are we going to attack?
Who's going to blink first?
That's right. Well, here's what we got to do. A bunch of us will start flying. Now they're all flying out in a easterly direction. But some of them will stick around and try to sneak in when the little birds aren't watching, I think.
When will Hammond Stadium rock with action again? As soon as tomorrow?
We have a home game tomorrow, and then a road game Saturday, and then a home game. But they're well ahead of the curve as far as having home games. So they're going to have a lot of road games in March. By the way, yesterday, smallest crowd I think I've ever seen here in 28 years.
Pat,
Really?
that's what I was going to ask you, because we were watching the Yankees and the Phillies play here. And Clearwater's a great ballpark, and there was nobody there.
You know what? February.
A little early, yeah.
Where's
February.
Clearwater? Is that up by Tampa?
She's
Yes.
north about,
Gorgeous.
2.5 hours?
Great town. It's Clearwater Beach is fantastic, and the Phillies ballpark is tremendous. But they by starting spring training this early. Well, I looked up something on when Sano got hurt. When Sano made that throw and had to undergo Tommy John surgery.
Mm-hmm.
That was on February 28th, and they had their first exhibition game the next day. And they've already had basically a week of games this year because they're starting a week early and they're leaving a week early, and that is going to have a negative impact on Florida attendance because people get down here, March 10th and hang around for a couple of weeks, and end of March, second half of March, and they'll be gone by then. And February has never drawn well down here, but yesterday they announced 3,200, and I'm not sure that many people were here.
Pat, the Gopher basketball season is mercifully concluded.
Yes, it was. You could see that some of our fellas, Nate Mason, apparently his last game ever, he had the flu, he had a bad hip, he had everything. He tried, but his heart wasn't in it. Jordan Murphy's heart wasn't in it. You could see deep in their souls, they just wanted it to be over with. Didn't you feel that way, Reavers?
Well, but I was following Gopher Hole on Twitter, and they said they control their own destiny. 5 more wins, and we're in the dance.
Yeah.
I love the commitment of Gopher Hole. I don't care what anybody else says.
Yeah,
they are dedicated to it. But what I couldn't figure out, Pat, I had 2 observations from the game last night. I've been watching this team my entire life. But how in God's name were Kanate and Jeju still on the roster? Because they just can't play.
Well,
and number 2,
they wouldn't leave.
That's true.
They came. They were 2 of those rare guys who came here, with African backgrounds. And guess what? They wanted an education.
Yeah.
They didn't leave. They
didn't
refused to be run off.
And how was Isaiah Washington Mr. Basketball in New York? Was it that bad? Was it that devoid of talent?
Last night on Gopher Hole, I looked a little. They were absolutely thrilled by Isaiah.
He makes some of the dumbest mistakes, though, during the course of a game.
Not exactly a shooter either, is
No.
he? But anyway.
They
Yeah,
almost
it's
made
over.
it to March, Pat. They were just a couple hours away from making it to March.
Boy, that the first day of the Big Ten tournament definitely had Madison Square Garden rocking, too. Did you see the photo
Yes.
before the tip-off of Illinois and Iowa? Honest to God, Joe, a consolation game in the in a tournament in Bawabik would draw more people than that game did.
There were more people at St. Paul United's consolation championship game at Ritter Arena than there was at that basketball game.
All right, we
yesterday.
feel represented here.
Yeah.
You represent, baby. Represent.
I got a
How'd
big...
you win? Did you win the World Championship of Consolation Hockey?
We did.
Okay.
We are state A consolation champs.
They give you a trophy for that, baby.
Yeah, that one's okay. You lose the first one, then you win out. You should get maybe something.
Okay, I got a baseball question for you to break down when we come back.
All righty.
All right, break it down. Pat,
Oh, yeah, I'm ready.
is the
I'm ready.
difference between this spring camp and last year's spring camp the number of jobs that are up for grabs?
No, not really. There's very few up for grabs.
But
among
were
the
there last year?
among the position players. We thought so, but they pretty much had their mind made up. Last spring, you remember the hero of spring was Buon Ho Park. We were writing about how his swing looked better and everything looked better, and these guys, all the analytic guys that they had working for him, said, he can't hit in the big leagues. It turned out they were right because he couldn't hit in AAA. But last year, they pretty much they figured out a way to keep this Adrianza because he got hurt because they'd taken him. They would have had to put him back on waivers, and that turned out to be a good decision. So they put him on the disabled list to start the year. But they don't make a lot of they might make a couple of pitching decisions this spring based on what they see, but they don't make many decisions anymore based on what they see in spring training. They have a pretty dang good idea who they're going to keep right now.
What's the starting lineup if the season opened tomorrow?
Well, Castro's your catcher, Mauer's your first baseman, Dozier's your second baseman, shortstop Polanco. If Miguel is not suspended or anything, he'll be playing third base, and the outfield will be Kepler, Rosario, Buxton, and Logan Morrison. The new guy will be the DH. Now, that's a very left-handed lineup, so they're going to have to figure out a couple of right-handed hitters who can play for a couple of those lefties. Robbie Grossman might stay. But Mitch Garver, who was going to be the new backup catcher and a right-handed hitter, tweaked his knee yesterday and was back here today getting an MRI, and we'll probably know tomorrow if anything's wrong with him. And if he ends up going on the, needing some kind of minor surgery or goes on the DL, they got a veteran catcher, a guy named, they let that Jimenez go. They got a veteran catcher in here, a guy named Bobby Wilson. And Joe, he's been around forever, and this is what a catcher should look like.
He looks like one.
He's got the
5'10". He's taking a lot of balls off the helmet, and he just looks like a catcher, and he is a character. You just see him walking. He walks into conversations and says weird stuff, and he's been around forever. He's not on the 40-man list right now. They'd have to put him on there, but he's the third catcher. But they're going to got a couple of pitching decisions to make, but there aren't a lot of.
That's good to hear. The backup catcher needs to be in charge of hijinks. Also, that needs to be a number one job description.
Yeah, there was like 4 or 5 of us reporters talking down there the other day, and I don't think he'd even been introduced to any of us, and he just started wandering right over and started giving us all bleep.
Now, does he have a shot at all?
Well, if Garver's hurt,
okay,
he'll be he's the only other catcher in here. He's not on the roster right now, but they brought him in as a bet. Either if Garver played lousy this spring, or if one of the other catchers got hurt, he'd end up probably going to Rochester if and hanging around for a month or so to see if they need him up in the big leagues. But he's one of those lifers, 31, 32 years old, been with a bunch of different clubs, been in the big leagues quite a bit. So,
all right,
but definitely the old-time catcher body, man.
Wild at Phoenix tonight. That should be a victory for their 6th straight.
I would think so.
Yeah.
The way they're playing, man. Hey, I got to go back though to the Twins.
Yeah.
Logan Morrison yesterday, he used a phrase that apparently the young folks are using that I didn't know what he was talking about. Jake Odorizzi, the pitcher, his buddy. He said he calls him average white righty, AVR. He calls him AVR, average white righty. But he also has said he's got the dad bod.
Okay.
What's that?
Reavers?
Well, you're looking at him.
That's me, baby.
Yeah.
So a dad bod is what you used to be in shape, but now you aren't anymore.
Now you look like Reavers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
You look like Kenny.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right, because he
You know,
threw it
the
out
kind
and
of-
he
he
threw
might
it
have
out, and all the guys under 50 laughed.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the hell he was
Royce,
talking
I
about.
am so happy with my gut these days that I walk around holding it with both hands, kind of jiggling it,
Did you see
lifting it
this?
up, and
Yeah.
I'm really, really comfortable with this big old belly. I really.
Well, what
like
if
it.
somebody calls up and wants to pay you to lose weight? Will you do it again?
No, hell no.
Now you're done with that.
I'm
huh?
finally happy with myself. The first time in 52 years.
Did the big sexy have the dad bod, or was he just huge?
I just think he's a big man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he was ever. The theory is you used to be kind of in shape, and now
Yes.
you aren't.
Yeah,
then
and,
you get
you're
the
kind
dad
of,
bod.
oh, he's got a couple of kids. Okay, he's got the dad bod.
But Odorizzi's skinnier than hell, but he doesn't have any muscles.
He
I
has no
suppose that's what
muscle.
he's-
Yeah,
that's
he has-
what he's making fun of. him
Exactly.
about.
Then you got to wear the dad jeans.
yeah.
You know, they
Yeah,
got the
the-
extra room.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and then you got to wear the dad shorts.
Have you ever seen the pregnant jeans that women wear in the front? It's just a big strap of elastic.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
God, I want a pair of those.
Yeah, those are neat.
You
You can eat all you want.
You can pull them up to your bosoms.
Yeah.
They're so awesome. They're so
I
awesome.
continue to insist the worst thing that ever happened in American toggery is pregnant women wearing these tight things over their stomachs.
Oh,
Go back to wearing the moo-moos,
you
damn it.
are old.
Yes. I want them to cover up and be embarrassed, damn it.
That big belly is erotic, Patrick.
Don't get him started either over here.
Doesn't do it for me, man. I don't think so. We want them to, come on. Come on. We'll go to the pregnant store and get the old-time smocks and stuff.
You know what? You don't want to leave any doubt. Do you?
Well, no, they're not leaving any doubt when they walk around with these tight-fitting shirts at the state fair. It's disgusting.
They make it difficult to play pregnant or not.
Right.
So,
Which we'll never play.
Right.
so I'm guessing you're against them wearing bikinis on the beach then with that big protruding belly.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I've never had to put up with that. I haven't seen that. So
He doesn't go for long walks on the beach yet.
no.
How about, Pat, we get you a nice form-fitting maternity set. We get those for the fair. The Ride with Royce maternity
How
form-fitting
you
set.
should look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How this is how when a pregnant woman comes back. Why don't we have ricey moo-moos and we'll give away one a free every day? When
Just
she's
get those
pregnant?
cheap
Because I
plastic,
think you're pregnant, you win.
Royce, how have you not been protested? How come there's not 800 people right outside your door right now with signs?
I could explain it, but that probably wouldn't go over too
Sports
well.
Talk will return in just a moment.
People connected to the station.
But now, thanks to our good friends in Owatonna, Minnesota at Federated Insurance, where it's their business to protect your business, and nobody does that better than Federated. It's Bruce Vail from the Wall Street Journal in Your Money Now.
And what's left of it, as you like to say.
What
Stocks
happened?
Stocks were sharply lower early today, and then the losses accelerated after President Trump said he would impose tariffs on steel and aluminum imports. That raised concerns about protectionist trade policies that could hurt U.S. corporations. The Dow Jones Industrial Average ended up dropping 420 points, closing at 24,608. The Nasdaq Composite fell 92 points, and the S&P 500 lost 36. Kohl's has had discussions with Amazon about expanding their partnership. Kohl's has added Amazon shops to a limited number of stores and has been accepting returns of Amazon products at a handful of stores since the holiday season. Kohl's chief executive said the company needs a little more time to draw conclusions since the program has been in place for just a short time. And Twitter has launched its bookmarks feature, which has been in testing since late last year. A desire to save content for later reading is something people have been asking for because of how much news circulates across Twitter. I'm Bruce Vail with your money now on 1500 ESPN.
Okay, Bruce, we're going to let you go. We've got a little drama here we can talk about on the freeways. This report sponsored by Walgreens. And we'll start that drama up in lovable, livable Shoreview. We have a crash on the right shoulder, westbound 694 at Lexington, and that's why traffic is slowing at Rice. But that's nothing compared to what's going on prior to Silver Lake Road. It's a house on the right shoulder. Yes, a house. So traffic jamming prior to 35W. You have at least 15 minutes 35E over to W with 15 more W to 100. Oh, in downtown Minneapolis, some douche rear-ended a tow truck on northbound 35W in the 50-mile-per-hour curve prior to Washington. So big drama there. Walgreens is here for all your diabetes needs. Stop by today and consult with your pharmacist and get trusted advice and tips about your diabetes medication and testing supplies. Let's just listen to this song. God, I love this. Seriously? Really? Oh, my God, yeah.
Hey, Kenny?
Uncle Tupelo, the original band, which was much better than the two bands that spawned out of it.
This isn't Sunvolt?
I think it's Sunvolt.
No, what I'm trying to say is Uncle Tupelo is the band that Sunvolt came from.
Yeah.
And Uncle
Wilco.
Tupelo
And
Uncle Tupelo far better than those two bands.
Well, wasn't that one of Van Morrison's Uncle Tupelo Honey? Was it that?
Patrick, you had a question. Go ahead, please.
No, I did have a question. To answer your earlier question, Kenny, it's kind of like when I was writing at the St. Paul Dispatch when I first, you could just throw atom bombs and it didn't make
Kind of same thing here.
Some guy, some twin might get a note in the mail about 5 days later and I'd say, did I write that?
That's the Harrigan mantra, too. In the morning when I screw up the timing and I'm 2 seconds late or 2 seconds early or whatever, and I'm fretting over it off the air, Dave's very reassuring and telling me that, don't worry, nobody heard it. We laugh, but it hurts.
Yeah, it does.
Deep it hurts.
It's sunny and 40 degrees. Twins played the Cardinals this afternoon. They played to a 3-3 tie in 9 innings. Adrianza, he had 2 hits, a couple RBIs yesterday. Did the same thing today. 2 for 3 with a home run and 2
Homer
RBIs.
today, huh?
Yeah.
He's going to be their spare outfielder, I think. He's going to be their spare corner outfielder and second backup in the infield.
They will play Toronto tomorrow. Timberwolves on the...
You know what I don't like about that guy? His first name, Ehire. I can't pronounce it.
A-Ray. Just think A-Ray.
A-Ray.
I had to phonetically spell
A-Ray
it.
better not be in that trunk.
A-Ray.
It's Pig Latin.
He's in the news, by the way, isn't he? Did he announce
Yeah,
that?
he's decided not to try to get the custody of the child afterwards. Or after all, the child that was delivered by the woman he had killed. So.
Yeah. Timberwolves on the road, staying out on the West Coast with a game against Portland tonight in the Wild. They're in Arizona to play the Coyotes.
If
There will be
Seattle
more-
gets a hockey team, won't that be an unbalanced
No,
situation?
that'll be a balanced situation.
Oh, they're at 31 now?
There's 16 in the East and 15 in the West.
Uh-huh.
There will be more Minnesota fans at the game tonight in Phoenix, all the Minnesota Snowbirds, than there will be Coyote fans.
We can't take another expansion like that. Come on.
The
Robbing
letter
us
of
our-
intent has been signed by the rich guys in
And for
Dallas,
what,
Seattle.
$700 million?
Something like
They're
that.
gonna
Jeez.
News notes from today. Democratic lawmakers and proponents of stronger gun laws say their efforts aren't over. Republicans today put a stop to a pair of bills seeking to expand background checks and temporary restrictions for gun owners by a court order. Those measures were tabled by Republicans who control the House. St. Paul Rep. David Pinto told reporters after the House Public Safety Committee meeting that he does plan to tweak his bills in hopes of getting another hearing. Hundreds of citizens on both sides of the issue flooded the Capitol to rally support or opposition for the legislation. The GOP Majority Public Safety Committee tabled both bills with opponents questioning whether it would be effective. Democratic State Rep. Jason Metza is entering the race to replace Rick Nolan in Congress. Metza announced his campaign this morning for northeastern Minnesota's massive 8th congressional district. The third-term lawmaker is just the latest Democrat to enter the race. Former FBI counterterrorism analyst Leah Pfeiffer already in the race. Former State Representative Joe Radinovich, North Branch Mayor Kirsten Hagen-Kennedy, and longtime Duluth News anchor Michelle Lee have launched campaigns.
The guy with the hair, is he running for the Republican?
He will not run, he announced yesterday.
Guy with the hair.
He got a haircut.
Stewie.
He also has short.
He got a haircut.
Stewie, the guy with the flavor. You can't get elected on a range with hair like that.
Well, he
so no wonder
cut it
got
a couple years ago.
Pat, he's got a haircut a long time ago.
I don't trust him.
But I don't trust him. No.
Sounds like a bunch of guys on the range from Mesabi. I don't trust their hair.
Hey, what's with the hair there, pal?
He's fiscally conservative, but look at that hair. We got to vote for the Democrat. He cuts his hair.
Cut your hair. Stop showing your pregnant
Well,
belly.
it isn't that it was being long. It was so foo-foo that...
It looks like he just ate salmon from a wood plank that was on a grill.
Yeah, that's foo-foo.
Flowing in from someplace special. Not just plain old sockeye.
It
Some
looks
other
like
special kind of
he ate
stuff.
very fresh salmon.
Yes.
Why
He
does
doesn't even like walleye. He doesn't even like walleye.
Right.
White House
Pickled northern, he'd turn his nose up.
Right.
Wow.
White House Chief of Staff John Kelly joking, we think, about his job. He was at a celebration for the Department of Homeland Security's 15th anniversary. Remember, he was in charge of that department before he became Donald Trump's Chief of Staff. He told the employees of DHS, truly at 6 months, the last thing I wanted to do was walk away from one of the great honors of my life, being the Secretary of Homeland Security, but I guess I did something wrong and God punished me.
Yeah.
He can be funny, but sometimes the trumpeter doesn't think that stuff's funny.
Kelly, who was supposed to settle the chaos in the West Wing, has proven unable to calm the storm. Events appear to be popping up daily that are causing what pundits on both sides are still calling chaos.
Why did he call Sessions Mr. Magoo?
That's apparently Donald Trump's nickname for Jeff Sessions.
And
Mr.
based on that he can't see anything, or what?
Yeah, and he has the kind of weird facial features. I don't want to be rude and not nice.
What's the little guy Saturday Night Live uses to play him? He can hide in a cabinet, and sit on a bookshelf like an elf.
The only male northern white rhino left in the world is sick.
Oh, no.
45-year-old rhino named Sudan was diagnosed with an infection in his right leg last year, which has since worsened. The rhino, who's the last hope for the species to continue, has lived at the Conservancy with two younger female counterparts since 2009. They are in fact, the only 3 northern white rhinos left in the world.
They want nothing to do with him, huh?
He can't get him knocked up.
That's correct. Nothing has happened.
They're into each other, not him.
Even with the attention and care he's getting, the caretakers are increasingly concerned about his continuously declining health.
Come on, old buddy, just one more time.
Right.
I'm not a rhino guy. They don't do
Can't
much for me.
somebody collect the sperm?
Well, that's the in vitro process.
Who wants that job?
I'm not,
Got her all warmed up and then all of a sudden pow at once.
I'm going to be sick that day.
I don't want that job.
Right.
We don't have a rhino.
I'm going to up and quit.
Scientists hope to save the northern white rhino from extinction by using
Hey, I'm on break, but John wants to see it back by the rhinos.
southern white rhinos as surrogates.
Bring
to
some
carry.
gloves.
I got a chess tournament this weekend.
yeah.
Maybe some tarps.
The in
They're
vitro
mean bastards, I'll tell you that.
rhinos.
Especially when you're collecting.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
You think
Don't-
they'd be a
don't
little more
wanna do
laid
that.
back.
No,
Yeah, what
not at all.
happened?
At least you could do is kiss it behind the ear.
At least you could explain it. If you could just explain to the girls, listen. If you don't do this,
Yeah.
there's going to be none of you left, okay?
Help a guy out here.
That never worked for me, Pat.
Honey, it's down to us.
This is God's plan,
Where are
honey.
all these people then?
What is all these rhinos?
What is this animal?
A group of French lawmakers wants a fine of at least €90, the equivalent of $110, for people caught making sexist catcalls, as President Emmanuel Macron's government prepares a sweeping new law targeting sexual harassment. The 5 lawmakers submitted proposals to the government that included a fine for comments, behavior, or pressure of a sexist or sexual character that's degrading, humiliating, intimidating, hostile, or offensive. Details of how they would enforce that, though, are unclear. The State Secretary for Women's Rights, Marlene Schiappa, suggested a fine last year. She's among government members preparing the harassment bill. Macron's centrist government will give the government the results of a nationwide survey seeking proposals from the public on ways to fight.
What country
sexism.
was this, John?
That is France, Kenny.
Yeah, that kind of stuff doesn't happen in the good U.S. of A., right?
Yeah,
Right.
of course not. 32-year-old.
Maybe Stuart Mills with that hair could get that white rhino worked up. Maybe.
What?
Maybe he could
No,
get it.
prance around in front of them. No.
Yeah, right. Maybe he could, and then we could collect it.
Well, that'd be a male and male.
John, never mind.
Could you please save me here, Joe?
He's suffering from dementia or something. I don't know.
I wanted to make a Stuart joke. It didn't work.
Give me that microphone, you little creep. If Rookie doesn't die before the end of the show, it'll be a miracle. All right, I've got some traffic I want to talk to you about. First one is northbound 35W running very slow, very ugly from 38th into downtown Minneapolis.
He walked on the ramp.
It's due to that.
All over it.
Will you shut up? My God. It's due
Take that
to.
orchestra down.
No, leave it up. You shut up, too.
I'm so confused.
I don't know what to do.
Oh, my God. Can I just do the traffic, you ass
shut up.
faces? All right, it's due. This jam on northbound W in South Minneapolis is due to this wreck in the downtown Commons. A guy rear-ended a tow truck, so we're going to see ugly delays there. The other one is this house parked on the right shoulder of westbound 694 prior to Silver Lake Road. That's why westbound
A
690.
whole house?
Oh my God! Seriously, that's why westbound
You mean
690.
a fish house, ice house.
That's why westbound 694 jams at Lexington due to a house on the right shoulder, Grandpa.
A whole house?
Just watch the bobber, Grandpa.
I think I got a bite.
Just eat your bread and watch the bobber. That would have been a good rap.
You would have walked all over that, too, because so many interruptions.
What's really funny is the off portion of the show where we went on the air was just like that. Kenny was yelling at everybody in here. So that just
Pat, there's
carried
a
over.
house on the freeway.
You know what their idea of producing a show is? Watching a Snoop Dogg video.
Yeah.
I was trying to see if he did rhinos at all.
No rhinos. A Russian man who tried to rob a hair salon ended up as the victim when the female shop owner overpowered him, tied him up, made him naked, and used him as a sex slave for 3 days.
3 days, Olga and the poor criminal.
How'd you know her name was Olga?
Well, she's
Bring
from
in the
Russia.
gimp.
32-year-old Viktor Jazinski admitted to police he had gone to the salon in Meshchovask, Russia, with the intent of robbing it.
I'm picturing a broad that looks like the Crusher from the AWA days. A Polish discus thrower.
The tables were turned dramatically when he found himself overcome by owner Olga Zadjak, who happened to be a black belt in karate. She allegedly floored the would-be robber with a single kick and then took him to a back room of the salon, tied him up with hairdryer cable.
I drink a keg of beer
hold my binoculars still.
every day for training.
She allegedly stripped him naked for the next 3 days, used him as a sex slave to teach him a lesson, force-feeding him Viagra to keep the lesson going.
Wow. That's a nasty hair salon.
Olga finally released the would-be robber, saying he had learned his lesson.
I mean, she must keep the Viagra in inventory.
It's a good point. Good point.
He crawled out of there on all fours.
They now have a world record for appointments being set.
Jazinski,
Some old crab with a face that would stop a clock.
She's now getting robbed twice a day.
Jazinski went straight to the police and told them of his backroom ordeal, saying he had been held hostage, handcuffed naked to a radiator, given nothing to eat except Viagra. Both have now been arrested.
And the cop said, "Are you complaining or are you here to tell everybody?"
Stop bragging, pal.
When police arrived to question Olga Zadjak, she said, "What a bastard. Yes, we had sex a couple of times, but I bought him new jeans, gave him food, and gave him 1,000
He got new jeans out of the deal?
1,000 rubles.
Oh, she paid him off.
Yeah, she was very generous. I agree with her. What a whiner.
In Maine, 2 friars say they're closing down their longtime bakery. They're going to open up a brewery.
What do you mean, friars?
They are
Like Friar Tuck?
Franciscan
Monks.
brothers.
Yeah.
Franciscan brothers.
All right.
The
They're tubby guys.
The Bangor Daily News reports Friars Bakehouse in Bangor will close this Friday after more than 18 years. Franciscan brothers Donald Paul and Kenneth Leo say they plan to open their new venture, the Friars Brewhouse Tap Room, this month.
What haircut are you seeing?
They've got the bowl cut with the bald
spot.
cue ball on top.
I'm seeing the guy in Robin Hood, the fat guy in Robin Hood.
Friar Tuck.
Got the rope belt, the whole deal.
Where if you look like that, you get the calling.
The sandals, you got to have the sandals.
Right. The rope belt that kind of hangs down a
I already
little
covered
bit.
the rope belt.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
The two actually began selling homebrew beer back in 2013 and had been considering opening a separate business to highlight their brews for the past 6 years.
You guys ever watch the Letterman thing on Netflix, his new little show?
No.
He just had Clooney on, and this is it a vodka or tequila? It's a tequila. company.
Yeah.
Just
Casamigos.
literally stumbled into it, just having some fun, him and a few buddies making their own tequila. The next thing you know, he's a triple billionaire from selling the company. Just absolutely stumbled into it.
Clooney?
Yeah, and it's an amazing story. Yeah.
Do you know why
really good
he's
tequila.
Do you know why he started doing it? Him and his buddies.
Yeah, because they just wanted to try different tequilas for their own little private club down there.
Because we had Rook and I had the guy on, and they wanted a specific kind, and they wouldn't ship it to whatever island he owned in whatever part of Mexico.
Right.
You're Clooney. You're that cool that you can just start.
So they flew around and traveled looking for different flavors of tequila and finally found one and went with it. It's just amazing.
And depressing.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah.
In Bonita Beach, Florida, authorities are looking for help.
Ooh, very close to us here, Joe.
Well, watch out for this guy, okay? He tried to rob a 7-Eleven clerk by pointing his finger at her.
No.
Oh, he had a gub.
He demanded cash, saying it was a stick-up Wednesday morning before leaving empty-handed. Happened around 2 in the morning at the store on Bonita Beach Road. According to Southwest Florida Crime Stoppers, the man walked into the store with a red shirt covering his face and approached the clerk with a pointed finger. He said it was a stick-up and demanded all the cash from the register. The clerk, of course, refused, and the man just left the store.
You got anything else there to frighten me, buddy?
See, because if you have the red handkerchief over your thumb extended up and your pointer finger out, most people know that that's not how a handgun looks these days. You really got to shorten up that thumb in order for it to make it look accurate.
Yes.
The man is still being looked for by police, described as in his early 20s, 5'8" and 165 pounds.
Oddly enough, that's how all the guys are. That's what they're doing with the salon in back. They just have their finger as a gun and saying, "This is a stick-up. Should I go in back?"
Would you like to drink early in the morning?
No.
How about enjoy some free pizza?
Nope.
Vancouver Police Department, if you should happen to want to do that, is looking for you. They want volunteers to get drunk on their dime in order to train new recruits on how to conduct sobriety tests. The request is contained in an email recently sent to select members of the police department's Block Watch Neighborhood Watch program.
One of the greatest episodes of WKRP ever. All the guys at the station took the test by the cops, and the more Johnny Fever drank, the better he got. Better his reflexes were.
They need 8 to 10 volunteers. The volunteers would need to drink a few shots of hard liquor, no beer or wine, the email stresses, and then finish up 3 sobriety tests, a simple eye examination, a walk and turn test, and a one-leg stand test. After a few hours of testing and a free pizza lunch, volunteers would then be driven home around 4 in the afternoon. They'd all have to sign a waiver promising not to drive the rest of the day.
Gentlemen, they are putting out the batting cage for tomorrow's morning's BP. That is getting ahead of the game, isn't it? The fellas, you're going to have it there all night.
Is there some type of party going on tonight that they're trying to prepare for ahead of time?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Pat, they're playing the championships down in Texas. I'm sorry, in Mexico.
Yes.
What a good-looking course.
Yes, it is.
Of course, they were there last year, too, weren't
What
they?
part of Mexico?
And
Mexico
the ball
City.
carries because of a lot of altitude there, too. So the ball carries a long way.
Yep, they got that going. All right, just a moment. What do you got coming up, Patrick?
Oh, we're action-packed. Matthew Collar giving us a report from the NFL Combine, where Coach Zimmer was rather controversial today. And Jerry Zgoda out with the Timberwolves in Portland, where they continue to try to win games without Jimmy Butler. And then Chip Scoggins back from the Olympics. We will discuss all matters Minnesota sports.
You know what's nifty about Collar being at the Combine?
What's that?
He would actually enjoy it.
Oh, yeah.
He'll get into it.
He cranks out the copy. There's no doubt about it.
That kid knows his football.
Oh, yeah. He can talk the language.
Football.
He can talk about high pointing the ball and all that good
I
stuff.
think he can.
Yes,
can.
sir.
And then who plays tomorrow at Hammond Stadium?
Boy, I don't know who they play, but the Twins will play.
I got it right here. We're
I don't pay
fact-based.
much attention to who they're playing. You know.
Toronto.
Oh, okay. Well, good. They got some buddies of mine cover the Blue Jays. So
All
I'll
right.
be able to say, hey, ho, how you doing?
1500 ESPN is KSTP, St. Paul, Minneapolis. It's
We're going to go with 39 degrees if that's
All right,
okay.
39.
39 's